G'day, my name's Michael. Welcome to our third lesson from 2020. This is about that we think we know why people do things. We attribute motives to people and we're often wrong. Now, we all do this, particularly when we're upset or when there's conflict or a disagreement. We will attribute motives to each other. So you've probably heard it in its simplest form in a messy breakup where someone says, he's only doing that to try to get to me. It happens a lot when we're upset. When someone does something, we think we know why they did it and we'll say why they did it. I think that kind of behaviour has contributed to the polarisation of 2020, whether it be American politics or people's responses to coronavirus. We've seen some people attributing motives to others in unhelpful ways. So when people have tried to debate the effectiveness of different responses to coronavirus, some people have gone like, you don't care about the old people, or you're trying to kill my grandma, or what have you. When people are trying to debate effectiveness or something, we can care, but have a different, we can both care about something, but have a different opinion about what the best way to put that care into practice is. And it's not fair, really, to attribute motives to people when we don't know. It happens a lot. It can be a failure of imagination in that we find it difficult to put ourselves in that person's shoes, and we can only imagine that what I would mean if I did that. It can be a projection that, and I'll talk about that in a future week sometime, that we often attribute our motives to others, that we see in others what's actually going on for us. But it can also just be that simplistic thing I talked about last week, that we tend to simplify things and we just don't realise things are complicated, so there might be more things going on for this person than I realise. But it's not helpful to attribute motives to people. Let me tell you why. Because we just don't know. We can misread the cues. We get it wrong so often. Only God knows. This is what the Bible tells us. Only God knows the hearts of people. In 1 Kings and 1 Samuel, God said to the prophet Samuel, in 1 Samuel, when he was choosing a king for Israel, and Samuel looked at David's older brother and said, oh, look, he's good looking, he's handsome, he looks strong. And God said, look, don't worry about that. People judge by the appearances, but God knows the heart. And all we've got is appearances, only God knows our heart. But when we attribute motive, it makes us upset, it kind of lowers the tone of conversation. It makes it difficult to have a decent conversation. And we need to just pause. Jesus said, do not judge. We just need to just pause and slow down. The Bible tells us, be slow to speak, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. We should listen to what people are saying rather than attribute that motive to them. We should be slow to tell people what they're doing and slow to become angry in ourselves. I think that covers this attributing motives to other people. One last thing that would be really helpful as we think about this is, it's a helpful thing to realise that there's a difference between the impact of actions and the intent of actions. Sometimes what happens isn't what people meant to happen. Sometimes, because we're in different situations, people don't know how their actions impact others. So, for example, if you grew up in a family that argues all the time, they have loud arguments, and you're married to someone who comes from a very quiet family where conflicts were never resolved, then when you argue loudly and aggressively with your partner, it might take you a while to realise that you don't mean anything by it. You're just having a discussion, but they're deeply hurt and they withdraw because the impact on them is greater than you. Loud words, harsh words impact them much more than they impact you. So a helpful thing to realise is, when we're upset with people, is to realise I need to think about their intent as well as their impact. If I need to confront someone about something, think about their intent as well as their impact. And when you're talking to someone, do that for yourself. This is what I intend to achieve, but let me just imagine for a minute how it might impact them. If you've got more power, if you've got more authority, if you're a bigger person, if you're a louder person, if you're a more secure person, be careful how you deal with something with someone. It may be helpful to be extra gentle, extra humble, extra patient, because you might intend a certain level of interaction, but the impact might be greater because a person's not as secure or not as safe as you think they are. So be careful of the difference between impact and intent, and allow for it when you're talking to people, but when people are talking to you. Be slow to judge. Be quick to listen to what people are saying. Slow to speak and slow to become angry. That'll help us to less think we know what everybody's going on and be less judgmental. And that would have made 2020 a better year if we could all do that. God bless you.